A flash drive. A simple, ordinary flash drive. Except this one was anything but ordinary. Inside, malicious code waiting to wreak havoc. And in front of it, a young woman, a junior in college, about to plug it into a machine. Her first real test in cybersecurity. She takes a breath, pushes the flash drive in, and then lines of code flood the screen. Unknown files start downloading. A system she was meant to protect is now compromised, and all eyes are on her. What now? This was the exact second Ayah Abdeldayem knew cybersecurity wasn't just a career, it was her battlefield. Salam everyone, and welcome to Muslimism in Motion Professional Pursuits. I'm Hawa, your host, and here we celebrate the achievements of Muslim women while exploring strategies to balance the life you dream of with the life you're living today. Today, I'm joined by Ayah Abdeldayem, a cybersecurity professional on a mission to safeguard digital assets, mentor the next generation, and make technology smarter. Ayah's story is one of innovation, resilience, and intentionality in a rapidly evolving field. We're diving into her journey from mentoring budding technologists to building tools that predict migraines. Get ready to be inspired. Salam alaikum, Ayah. It is such a pleasure to have you here. Welcome to Muslims in Motion. Thank you again for your time, and I'm really excited to get into what you do. Before I start, though, I always have like a little preamble I give my guests, and that is, you are stranded on a deserted island. What are 3 things you're bringing with you?
I'd say, honestly, my laptop. I do everything on my laptop, so that's one. My phone, also. And then also just a journal, because I'm really into journaling, just writing down my thoughts throughout the day.
And maybe it's that same habit, capturing ideas in real time, that helped Ayah notice something during her cybersecurity internship, a flaw in the system no one else seemed to be addressing. But Ayah wasn't always so sure about her place in cybersecurity. In fact, she almost didn't even apply for this internship that started it all. Who is Ayah, and what sparked your passion for navigating the ever-evolving world of cybersecurity?
So I am Ayah. I'm a current junior at the University of Kentucky studying computer science. I applied for I didn't really know what I was applying for. I kind of just saw a listing for a student job for cybersecurity, and I was like, well, might as well give it a shot. I ended up applying for it, went to the interview. The interview was mainly just asking me about some of the programming experiences that I've had. Mm-hmm. And then also, like, at the ending, they were like, so how do you like safeguard those programs? And I was like, to be honest, I don't really know. Like, I don't really know anything about cyber. Going into the interview, it was just like, I'm here because I applied for the job. Just going into the job, I knew nothing about cyber. I learned everything there. They did jump me into like multiple different projects, all the different things that we do at the university to like safeguard everyone's accounts. And so it was kind of just through that job is where I fell in love with cybersecurity. I did think it was really interesting to help keep students safe and then just be able to work on certain incidents and make the employees' jobs easier by doing certain automations. So I thought that was cool. Mm-hmm. And then I also had an internship at Lexmark where I dove deeper into automation. And that, I think, strengthened my love for cybersecurity because then it was just not me doing incidents. And it was also me doing more automation and monitoring. So I thought that was fun.
Thrown into the deep end, Ayah had to learn fast. But she didn't just learn, she innovated. She started her internship at Lexmark doing cybersecurity incident response. It was her job to investigate login failures, unauthorized access attempts, and global security breaches. But something kept bothering her. So she pitched an idea to her manager. What if we automated it? A system that would analyze incidents on its own, cutting out that wasted time.
At Lexmark, I mainly went in as a SOC analyst, but where I just did incidents, global incidents mainly. Mm-hmm. And it was like if someone logged into their account and they did it multiple times and they kept failing, or if somebody logged in from an unknown IP address. And so I'd go through and just investigate that further and see if it was benign or positive. Mm-hmm. And then I think throughout that time, I just noticed like there was a redundancy of like continuing doing the same thing. And it just felt kind of someone had to sit there and just continue clicking on different things. And so I went to go talk to my manager about possibly automating it and making people's lives a little easier. So that way it just runs in the background. And at that point, I only had like a few weeks left in the internship. So he was just kind of like, I mean, if you feel like you can do it, go for it. But it is kind of very pressuring to do it in that time period. So I was able to start the automation. I was very determined to finish it within the few weeks time period that I was given. So I'd come home, I'd work on it, I'd go there and I'd work on it. Ask so many questions because my first time like doing my first full automation, and it was pretty large. Then at the ending, I was able to present it, and it was really, really exciting. They actually still use it now, and it saves a lot of people's time. I think that was really cool that I got to make that big of a difference.
That's amazing, actually. That is so cool. Because it's, I don't know, for starters, right? It takes a lot of strength to be like, ask. Because a lot of times, especially when you're an intern, you're just kind of like, oh yeah, I'm just here.
Yeah.
Like, I'm just doing my best. Yeah. But like the fact that you were like, what? Actually, I see this limitation in the system and the process. Let me fix it. Like, that's really awesome. And the kind of impact that even engineers like now, like I try to have in their organizations, like that's really cool. I like that.
Yeah, it was cool that I got to like save some of their time to focus on more important things.
Absolutely. Because I mean, that time adds up. You might think like, oh, it's like an extra 5 minutes, but extra 5 minutes every day always adds up. So that's really cool. That's amazing. I love to hear that. Mashallah. Think about that. An intern stepping into a new space, identifying a problem and not just fixing it, but leaving behind a solution that outlasted her time there. And yet, cybersecurity isn't the only frontier Ayah has taken on. Because while she was automating security processes, she was also stepping into the world of medical research, using computer science to predict something millions of people struggle with: migraines. Not only do you do like cybersecurity, but I also noticed that you do like, other research, cardiology, neurology. Could you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah, so I'm part of this minority participation group called LSAMP. It's a Lewis Stokes Alliance participant of Kentucky and West Virginia. In that group, so they do require us to like have some sort of research experience. So that made me jump into the realms of research because I wasn't originally going to go into that. But I did start applying for multiple different researches. I wanted to do something mainly in the medical field. I think it was very inspiring to have computer science major in the medical field because there's a lot that you can do.
Absolutely.
So my first one, I joined the cardiology lab, which is where we essentially made a fake artery and we hooked it up to a program that me and a few of the other research interns were programming. So we were able to hook up that artery to the program and then watch blood flow through it visually. So we see exactly where the blood's flowing in the artery and all the different veins it goes through. And then kind of monitor what happens when certain medications are given and through the bloodstream to see where that goes through your artery. So that was what I did for the cardiology lab. I did that for 1 year. And then I recently joined the neurology lab, which is super exciting because I always had a passion for neurology. I do think it's really cool. Like the brain's immensely like crazy because there's so much different things that it can do.
Absolutely.
And so I joined that lab recently. I'm the only computer science major in that lab right now. So it's really different because they're kind of just relying on me for the programs while they do all the medical lab results. So in that one, we're currently building a migraine predictor. So we're using AI and machine learning. And we're currently trying to build an app that we can push out to patients and have the patients kind of monitor when they get migraines, what triggers them or what things they might have done before that. And then have that app kind of just collect all the data. And then my job is to just kind of massage that data and find anything that's similar in between different things that they triggered, all the different similarities, and just build that into an AI model and have it learn when migraines might happen so that it might be a predictor for patients.
Oh, wow. Wow. So you're doing really amazing stuff. So I guess as somebody who's not really familiar with like the whole like medical lab, anything research. So what does that look like when it's time to, like, how do you guys test that? Do you have like a test group that you roll that out to, and then like you use that data and then kind of iterate from there? How is it like to kind of be in that kind of setting where it's just like you're the CS person, everybody else is doing their little medical stuff? Like, how is
So in the beginning, we did struggle with kind of getting patient data because all like the HIPAA regulations. We weren't able to get just like access to any patient data. So we did have to kind of roll out specific people that wanted to join it. So we pushed out a few flyers around the hospital. We had actually like a pretty good turnout. We have around 20 people in our test group now that currently are using like an app prototype that I was able to build.
That's
and
amazing.
So they're monitoring their migraines on there now. And then I think once they're done, I think we're waiting a few months so that we can collect that data and try and see if we can build the algorithm.
Wow. That's amazing. Oh my gosh. Like, mashallah, man. Oh my goodness. Like, this is amazing stuff. Like, you're building so many amazing things. I just feel like if somebody has not given you your flowers already, like, mashallah, seriously, like, tabarakallah, like, may Allah put barakah in it. Cause that's serious stuff. Like, you're just like spearheading. Oh my goodness. And you're still in college?
Yeah.
My gosh.
It's a hard balance, but we're figuring it out.
Yeah. Like between like your course load and this, like, I mean, this is just amazing though. This is really cool stuff. Wow. Mashallah. Seriously. Wow. So I don't know. Like, I'm just like, I'm having like goosebumps, like when you're explaining it. Cause first of all, I love when people like just, like, I can tell, like, you're just so well versed and you really know what you're talking about, first of all, which is like really cool. It's one thing to like kind of do stuff, but another thing to like talk about it and like know what you're talking about. So that's number one. Number two, the amount and the I guess the stature of what you're doing is amazing as well. And it's just like you are just a single developer, man.
Yeah.
That's serious stuff. So what stack do you use? Like, what are you using to develop that app? Because I know you said it was a mobile app.
Yeah, I'm currently using Swift. So we're doing it only through iOS and Apple now. I haven't done anything with like Android because I'm not really familiar with that. So I'm using Swift to do the mobile app and then just like the Apple developer tools.
And yet, even as Ayah built all these incredible things, there was one thing that made it all possible. People knew her work. Because she didn't just do things. She talked about them.
All right, salam everyone. It's Hawa. I'm here to remind you to take a quick little break. This is your reminder to hydrate, stretch, and unclench that jaw. Go ahead and straighten that back too. Because, we gotta maintain that good posture, ladies. I'm guilty of it too. Take a moment to take a deep breath. Let it out. And yeah, cool. And by the way, while you're, taking in breaths and stretching, if you're looking for a cozy, productive space to co-work, connect, and vibe with other Muslim women, you need to check out Kahwa Collective. It's our monthly co-working session where we come together, whether online or in person, to get things done, build our cute little community, and just support each other's goals and dreams, and just a chill, welcoming space. No pressure, none of that awkward networking and genuine nonsense. Just good company, good vibes, and maybe a little caffeine. If you want in on this sisterly productivity action, or not so productive depending on the day, follow us on Instagram at Muslims in Motion Pod to get more info and join the next session. I can't wait to see you guys there, inshallah. Okay, guys, back to regular programming.
I had my first speaking experience through my work. We put on a huge cybersecurity conference on campus every year. And so when I first started, it was our second year doing it, and they were taking student volunteers as speakers. And I kind of figured, well, why not? Like, I'm one of the only 2 student workers here at the moment. I might as well just try it out. I was really nervous because that was like my first big speaking experience. There was a ton of students. They invited like every single UK student could go there, all the different faculty, all the different professors. They're expecting a huge turnout. And I just volunteered. I was like, might as well try it out. So I was put on a career panel where the students and the audience were able to ask me questions. And that one was a little more terrifying than kind of just giving a speech, because you don't know what questions you're expected to answer or what somebody's asking you. So you just have to like answer it on the spot. So I was a little terrified. In the beginning, I was like really shaky. My whole family showed up. They were there like recording me, and I was just like shaken up because everything was all at one time. But it went really well. And then once that happened, I was volunteered again for the second CyberCon that happened this year. But this time they wanted me as a 10-minute presentation. So it was just like writing a speech and go up there and give a 10-minute presentation. That I think was a little more rewarding because I was the only person up there and I had my speech already practiced. I was ready to give it. I had my slideshows on the back behind me. So I was able to like point out pictures and just like talk about my background. So I think that was really relieving because I got to talk to other students that wanted to go into cyber and just tell them that like it all works out. Like it's hard in the beginning, but once you like start your roadmap, like everything goes well.
Absolutely.
And then fast forward from that, I think just those two experiences themselves like opened a huge door of other things that I could do. So I was able to also be an international speaker at SecCon, which is a large cybersecurity conference. That one is international. So that's like everyone across the country comes together. I was a virtual speaker for that one. So I recorded my speech, gave my slideshow, and they were able to play it during the big conference that was in Europe. And there was a ton of cybersecurity professionals there. That was also exciting.
That is exciting.
And then I've just been like featured on other podcasts and just like growing my connections on LinkedIn.
I love that. That's so cool. That is so cool. I just love hearing that because it's just like, wow, like you're doing your thing and you just have an air of like, I don't know, certainty and confidence about you. And I was actually going to ask about that because to me, right, like you're just like, I'm going to do this thing. I'm going to do this thing. I'm doing this thing. And I want to ask, like, I don't know, how did you get to that point? Because you're explaining yourself, it's like an air of like confidence. And I think a lot of times, like, I'm going to just be real, like as women, our first instinct isn't to be like, wow, I'm doing this thing and I deserve to do this thing. I'm just going to do it. Or let me just do this without second guessing myself, without hesitation. A lot of times we're just like, oh, why do I have this opportunity? Or am I cut out for this? What I would like to ask is, have you ever had those moments? And if so, how did you kind of push past that and be able to tell yourself like, hey, like, or I guess not even have to tell yourself, you're just kind of like going for it. Or maybe when you do have those moments, what do you tell yourself in those moments? Like, how do you push yourself back up?
So I definitely do have those moments. There are times where I'm like, do I really want to do this? Like, is this really something that I can do? Because again, being like a woman and also just a hijabi, not a lot of times where you see someone out there speaking about their industries with confidence. And so I do like think about it like I'm going to push boundaries, like I'm going to make changes, I'm going to make other students feel empowered, other Muslims feel empowered. Just like the thought of me going up there speaking is going to help so many other people. And so that's what helps me like push my confidence.
Yeah. And it's important, right? Because like, that's kind of the reason why we're here. Because the truth is we don't see a lot of people who look like us. So what do? We got to fill those gaps. Because I guess in my head, it's like, oh, if somebody doesn't do it, then you can't really wait around. You got to do yourself, see what happens. And I really respect that outlook, mashallah. So it goes without saying that you have a really good personal brand on, for example, like LinkedIn. It's part of the reason how I was able to find you too. Because like I really like how your page was, how it put together it was. And honestly, your impressive resume, let's be honest, from back to back to back, you're just doing the thing. I guess, would you like to speak on the importance of having that personal brand and building that kind of online presence? Like, even if the goal isn't to be like super celebrity, super influencer, could you speak about that? Because I've spoken to people about this too. Like, just because personal branding nowadays almost is a requirement, because at the end of the day, right, there's a bunch of people applying for the same position you are. How are you going to stand out? How are you going to tell your story? And if the recruiter goes on your LinkedIn and sees a blank LinkedIn, are they going to hire you? Or are they going to hire the person who talks about their accomplishments, their achievements, what they've done? Even if you haven't won awards or done whatever, somebody who talks about their journey from the projects that they worked on to the languages they've learned and what that took, and talks about their personal experience, things like that, to the smallest degree, can make an impact on whether somebody does decide to say, hey, like, I do want to hire this person. Or even better yet, you don't even have to apply, because people are literally finding you when they search up cybersecurity,
engineer or software engineer and they see you pop up, they're like, oh, this is the type of person we're looking for. So would you like to talk about, like, I guess your journey building your personal brand and how you can see that manifest today and the returns on that even before you even graduate and are looking for full-time work?
So I started building my personal brand about a year and a half ago on LinkedIn is when I started actually posting. I do think it has had such a tremendous overlook to it. I do think what you said is true. It's become more of a requirement to build your personal brand, especially as a computer science major. There's a ton of computer science majors out there. And like the job pool is just like very oversaturated.
Yeah.
And so even like just going into cybersecurity, more people are trying to apply to it. It's becoming an ever evolving field. It is hard to get jobs if you're just giving them your resume or just giving them your contact information. So I think building my personal brand on LinkedIn has helped me tremendously. I've had a few recruiters actually reach out to me already asking to email them back like once I graduate for full-time offers. And I think that's just been like so rewarding because I've spent like a year and a half trying to build a personal brand on LinkedIn. I have all these recruiters reaching out to me. So I've just like had that feeling in the back of my mind that I'm like, once I graduate, I'll have a great full-time job, inshallah. And I'll be able to reach out to those recruiters and tell them that I've graduated. And so I just think that just has such a good reward to it. I think a lot of people starting to build their own brand on LinkedIn in the beginning, it's very scary. I mean, I started posting just to my connections because I didn't want to post it publicly. And then I was like, well, this is not really reaching like the amount of audience that I want it to reach. So I started to post publicly, and I think that's when it blew up. So in the beginning, I got like a few reactions, a few impressions, and I was like, is this even worth it? But then if you consistently post, consistently share your achievements and just what you've been working on, I do think that has a great overturn value.
Absolutely. And to your point, it's like, yeah, like at first you're not going to get the numbers you want. That's natural when you're first starting on anything. But what's important is that you stuck with it and you kind of took that leap and you're like, you know what? Time to open up the gates. Let everyone see myself. But it paid off. I mean, look at what you're doing, mashallah. And that's just like a testament to don't be afraid, especially like if you know what you're talking about. That's the thing. So many people actually do know what they're talking about. And I'm speaking to myself first. A lot of times I'm really bad, especially about like second guessing myself. Even at work, like I'll know something. And then when I'm put on the spot or in a meeting, I'm just like, and it's not good. And inshallah, I'm working on that actually, because it's important. Like when you know what you're talking about, just say it. And sometimes you will be wrong and that's fine, but that's all part of the experience. That's all part of the learning. I think that's another thing too. People just need to be, I guess, more publicly wrong. So then everybody will just stop being afraid of being wrong and then also being lambasted on the internet for it too. I think that's part of it too. Because a lot of people are just like, ooh, if I mess this up, then people are going to cancel me. People are going to do this. But I mean, I don't know. It's just not that serious. It's LinkedIn. Everybody's just trying to make it. So, but I think it's really cool that, I mean, you're able to do this and honestly really impressive. And I like that because at the end of the day, sometimes when you are hijabi, like you kind of mentioned earlier, it's like, why me or how me, especially living in the West and there's not a lot of hijabis.
Yeah.
People are like, you know, what if people just write me off? And, you know, they're just like, they don't really give me. Listen, what you're talking about, you have the resume, you have the projects to prove it. I mean, do you really want the attention of people who are just going to write you off anyways because you're a hijabi or a Muslim or a minority? Probably not, right? So whoever, as long as you, and like you said, you did the work, you put the work in, you're getting offers from people. So it clearly pays off.
Yeah.
So to those of you out there who are thinking or letting your LinkedIn gather dust, I implore you, start working on it now because it pays off. It seriously does. Like to what you said, I've gotten like past speaking engagements and stuff as well because of my LinkedIn or because of the connections I had on LinkedIn. Somebody said like, oh, this person referred me to this. Or you to try this, or hey, I saw your LinkedIn, I saw your personal website, and was like, oh, cool, like I want you to speak on this, blah blah blah. And that's actually something I need to work on, like posting my speaking stuff because I don't do that, and I just realized my LinkedIn is not up there, so that's weird. Anyways, so that's something I'm always like going on LinkedIn and kind of like tweaking what I have. Because even if it's not like for a job, I still want to connect with people or like-minded individuals. Yeah. So it's like, don't look at it as like the end all be all, like, oh, I'm on LinkedIn and I have to use this to get a job. It's a tool to meet cool people. It's a tool to discover new like events and conferences. Just talk to people on there. Kind of reduces the pressure a little bit. I know like for computer science people, it's kind of the pressure's on real tough because of the market. But like, I feel like, I don't know about you, but people can kind of smell the desperation when you're just kind of like reaching out for a job versus like, and not saying life is tough. So like, I get it. Obviously it is very tough. So it's hard not to be desperate because you're like, you don't want to be homeless or broke. Nobody wants that, especially now. But I think it's important to approach these situations with an air of like some air of genuineness, I guess, because past the job thing, past internships, there's always a person behind that. Sometimes if you just get to know the person, then the opportunities will naturally come as well.
But if there was one moment that sealed Ayah's fate in cybersecurity, it was that flash drive. Yes, the same flash drive at the beginning of our episode. It wasn't a drill. It wasn't a test. It was real-world cyber defense unfolding right in front of her. For most interns, the first week is all about paper and training videos. For Ayah, it was hands-on experience with live malware, and that's when she knew cybersecurity was for her.
I think there was, at the job that I work at my university, as a cyber analyst, I think putting on, so we were given a flash drive on like my first or second day there. Me and the other student worker were given a flash drive and it had malware content on it. And so my manager had just told us to plug it into a laptop that we don't really use and just try to see like what the malware was and investigate it and see if we can find IPs, block them. And both of us were kind of very new to the problem of cybersecurity. So we weren't really like sure to what to expect. So we plugged it in. All the malware started downloading on the computer and we were just like in shock. Didn't really know what to do with it. But that was like my first experience of me like going into something like super serious in cyber. And I don't think everyone really has that opportunity to go into right away when they start their cyber jobs because mainly it's just documentations or going through making dashboards. And so having that first experience is what made me realize, cybersecurity is definitely for me because it's always a different day. I'm always excited to go to work because nothing's always the same and there's always something new to work on every single day.
That makes sense. Yeah. Honestly, that sounds kind of cool. Sometimes I know people in cybersecurity and like sometimes when I hear about it, I'm like, man, that sounds so cool. But it's like also a whole different world because it's like the things that you guys talk about. And I'm not going to lie. It's like, I feel like when I'm hearing like cyber people talk about the industry, it's like when you're first starting. I don't know. I feel like it's like when my friends tell me when I'm talking about like computer stuff, that's how I feel when I'm talking about, when I hear people talk about cyber, because it's like literally like its own, I don't know, like I wish I could even give an example, but it's so dense. Like there's so many like acronyms and everything and so many certs and everything. I'm just like, oh my God. Like on top of the fact that you have to be an engineer, you're also putting yourself through all of these things. I really respect it and also like fear it a little bit.
Yeah, I do think it's very different from like just being a software engineer or like a software developer. Because you do have that other mindset of being able to explain, because there will be a lot of people on your team that aren't very technical. So you have to build that strength to kind of explain what you're doing to them in non-technical terms. So in a more executive way.
Exactly. Because that is true. Like you guys kind of are like a bridge between like maybe like other engineers and then also maybe the not so technical folks, especially when there's certain, like for example, at our company, we have like these cybersecurity initiatives and the forsaken phishing emails and blah, blah, blah. Like just like trying to like rationalize to people like these things are actually quite serious, guys. Like you can't just click on random links. And some people seriously just don't get it. They're just like, hello, can't be that serious, but it actually is that serious. Yeah. But it is very interesting. As a mentor and a speaker, you have inspired a lot of people, including myself, because honestly, mashallah. Could you talk to us about your mentoring journey and the lessons you learned from mentoring people and how it kind of shaped your own?
I recently started mentoring about a few months ago, actually. Mm-hmm. I joined TopMate and was able to go through there and make my own appointments and bookings with people to join me. Mm-hmm. And I've had like that. I wasn't really expecting much from. I had a few bookings a week and it was just like, oh, maybe this is not that much. Like maybe mentoring isn't for me. And then all of a sudden it just kind of blew up and I had like 4 to 5 meetings a week. Like wow. Sometimes it was like 6 and it was like a few in a day. And so it was just me like, and especially like starting school and having like those bookings, I had my appointment times like in between classes. I'd be like walking to class and just taking a mentorship call and just being able to talk them through cybersecurity. And a few of them that I mentored in the very beginning reached out to me and they were like, oh, we just passed our cybersecurity certification exam that you recommended to us. And I think that was just like so heartwarming to like see that they were actually following my advice and going through with it and actually getting the certification. And then recently TopMate selected me as a top 50 cybersecurity mentor in the United States. Yes. And I think that was huge because that just like shows that I've been making a difference of many different people going into cybersecurity.
That's amazing. Oh, that's so cool. And honestly, I hadn't really heard of TopMate before. I've heard of like other. How did you even find it?
So one of the recruiters actually reached out to me on LinkedIn and told me a little bit about the platform, told me to check out a few influencer LinkedIn pages that use TopMate. Mm-hmm. And so I was like looking through it, doing my research, and they just like asked me if I wanted to be part of it. And so I decided to join it. And I think that's been one of my most favorite things in TopMate. It's just so rewarding. They give you like a thing at the ending. Once I got selected for a top 50, they emailed me and told me if I posted on my LinkedIn, like they were going to put all of the posts on a New York City Times billboard. And so I think that's huge.
That is huge.
So we'll be like featured on there for like 15 seconds.
That's awesome. Oh, that's so cool. Are you going to like go up there and to New York and like wait for your post?
I mean, if they tell me when, then yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think that's cool.
That's amazing. And it's nice because mentoring is already pretty a selfless thing, right? Like, yes, mm-hmm. You gain and you learn, but then also it's really cool that you're taking the time. I mean, from even walking to class, like taking people's calls mm-hmm. and helping people out like that. So I think it's really cool that, I mean, in a way, you deserve that because it's like, that's really cool. You helped so many people. And I'm sure being a top 50 anything is amazing. So it means you must have helped a lot of people. So that's really amazing, honestly. With that being said, what is some advice you could give to young women, especially Muslimas, that want to kind of step not just into cybersecurity or not just cybersecurity, but like STEM or tech in general?
I'd say kind of just don't really listen. There's a ton of haters that'll tell you out there that you can't do it because you're a woman, because you're Muslim, because you're hijabi or a woman. But it's just kind of muting that out and knowing that you can do it and just like continuing doing anything that you think you can and anything that you think will make a difference. So just don't hold back on obstacles. Those are just like things in the back of your mind. So just like keep a clear path in mind and just go for it. Like there's nothing you can ever lose.
That's amazing. Yeah. I mean, that's just the truth. People, especially when you are a trailblazer, as they say, if you're not getting some kind of like adversity, probably not doing, like, if you really want to make a difference and you're not getting any type of adversity at all, you have to ask yourself, are you really doing it? Like, cool if you did it, and that's really lucky and cool, but let's be clear. I think part of this journey and part of the whole making strides to make a difference, to actually contribute to society, to contribute to your community, right? It's going to come with like some pushback. It's going to come with people saying, naysayers, people saying, are you sure? And even well-meaning people who maybe you're just looking out for you. Like, are you sure you want to do this? I don't know. Or are you sure you want to wear this? Because I don't know if people might do this and blah, 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 and so on and so forth. And while they all might mean well or not mean well, at the end of the day, right? The thing is, if you budge or you stick, like, you got to stick to your guns. You got to stick to why are you really doing this? And that's kind of what helps you carry yourself through. Like, I remember when I was first starting to work, there were some people who would, well-meaning members of community / family would be like, hijab like that because people might not be a cool fan of that. And they mean well, like, that's cool. But
Yeah.
I knew in my heart why I was wearing hijab, first of all. Second of all, I knew who I was wearing it for. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Same Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala I'm wearing this hijab for is the same Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to protect me when the going gets tough. Because, like, A, you're not going to want an opportunity who wasn't going to hire you anyways because of this. B, you never, even if you're in an opportunity and maybe people, let's say you start wearing hijab and people start treating you weird. That's just a sign that you don't need to be there. Because why would you need to be anywhere that's not accepting or just accommodating, first of all?
Yeah.
And if you're not even necessarily accepting or accommodating of what you're putting on your head, can you imagine when it's Eid or when it's time to pray or Jumu'ah or whatever it is, and you try to ask, like, hey, like, can I go to Jumu'ah? You don't want to be in that situation. It kind of sucks. So all of these things are just also ways of protecting us as well. Just to tell us, like, oh, this is not a situation I need to be in regardless. Without all that being said, this is why we're doing these things, because at the end of the day, so that when the next wave or the next generation comes along, they feel like, oh, I can't exist as myself or as my whole self in these spaces and not be lambasted for it or just live my life. Because a lot of times it is peaceful to just be in an environment where it's just like, oh, I don't have to think about certain things. I don't have to. I think we really underestimate sometimes, especially, I don't know about you, but I grew up in a majority white area. You kind of like don't think about it until you're not in one. We're just like, oh, wait, I'm not like having to explain everything. And also like hyper vigilant of my surroundings and all these things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can understand if you didn't grow up in that, how you would want to be like more comfortable. And it's, it's easy to just be like, hey, you know what? I'm going to stick to what works for me. And I respect that. And there's value in that as well. But I also think that it's like, you got to think about, there's a saying that goes, a good society is a society where the man who plants a tree, not for himself, but like for the future generations to sit under. So it's like our generation / our time, we got to set that foundation for the next people. And nobody's saying it's going to be easy. Nobody's saying it's going to be easy to plant the tree and water it constantly and trim it and all these things. And nobody's saying that we're necessarily even going to see the benefits of that tree by the time we're done. But we're not doing it because we're here to reap the benefits of the tree or the fruit or whatever. We're here and we're doing it because we want the next generation and people who come after us to reap those benefits. And long story short, that's how I think of this thing. Like I said, the way the whole system is or whatever, I don't blame people who want to be in their space, in their world, because it's okay too. And sometimes it is exhausting. And I acknowledge that fully. But I also believe we need those of us who need to make the pushes, make the changes, and whatever way that looks like.
Yeah.
In whatever industry you're in, but making those strides, pushing those boundaries to kind of like make the changes for the next one. So then that way we don't have to live in a way where we're minimizing ourselves, and we don't have to have spaces that are just like, oh, comfort. We can just be comfortable as is where we are, wherever we are.
Ayah has accomplished so much already, but there's something I ask every guest before we close. Because behind every journey, there's always an anchor. A reminder that keeps us going when things get hard.
One of my favorite ayahs in the Nala stuff.
Yep.
So like barely with every hardship comes ease. So it's just like you going through all the hardship of trying to push those obstacles is going to help all the younger Muslim and future generations.
Absolutely.
And that right there, that's a reminder we all need sometimes. The struggle isn't meaningless. It's the door to the ease that's waiting for us on the other side.
That kind of brings me to another thing I wanted to ask you. Like, was there a time where you kind of had to pull like your deen into what you're doing? Maybe there was, because I know some sisters, when I talk to them about their journeys, sometimes it's like, oh, they had to have a come to Allah moment, because they're like, I don't know if this is for me. I don't know if my degree or what I want to do, like, I don't know, because there's just all these obstacles and everything's really hard and annoying and frustrating. Maybe this is just a sign that I just gotta move on and keep finding something else. So have you ever had a moment like that? And how did you get past that?
Yeah, so I actually have, like, during my freshman year, just starting computer science and going through that, it was really hard, like computer science in itself, and then just like the beginning, like engineering courses they made us take. And so like there were times where I just had to sit there and like make dua and like ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if it was like good for me to like continue doing computer science, or if I should change my major or do something slightly easier. And just like since then, I've started like getting better signs. That's when I got my internship, my part-time job. And so I think those were his signs of telling me to continue and like everything will get better.
Mm-hmm.
And so like piggybacking again on like that favorite ayah that I said, just like every hardship, there's always something that'll be easier in the ending.
Absolutely. And then also, I think another perspective I saw recently, which kind of like gave me a little like brain explosion, was like sometimes there's even ease in the hardship and vice versa. Like that's why, you know, we're always told to like be grateful and Allah will increase us, because sometimes within whatever you're going through, there might be something else that like you don't even realize that is a benefit to this, but maybe you're not seeing it because of the perspective. But if you shift your perspective and kind of look at, okay, like what am I getting from this? What is Allah giving to me? Is he making me stronger so like I can go through this easier in the future? Is he giving me the tools to be the person that I want to be? Things like that, right? I think these perspective is definitely key, and I think that's really cool. And a statement, honestly, a lot of people can relate to. I know myself, because CS, it's no joke, buddy. It's no joke. With that, I'd like to ask you one more thing. As a cybersecurity professional, I'm sure you see all these, like, not like aside the bad actors of the internet, you also see us normal folk on the internet and on our computers and just minding our business. I'm sure you're seeing a lot of people doing a lot of things that probably make you cringe, or just maybe your friend uses like the same 10 passwords for like her TikTok, her Instagram, her Facebook, whatever. So what's one piece of cybersecurity advice you think people ignore but absolutely shouldn't?
I don't know if I could think of like one particular like tip. There are a few that I have in mind that a ton of people do, and I'm like, they should definitely know not to do this. One would be just make sure you're clicking on like links you think you can click on, especially like being a student and having a ton of like the bad actors go into your student account and try to email you different links. A few that we actually got recently would say like job available, like job opportunity. And that of course would catch a lot of students' eyes. They end up clicking on the link and just get infected and just think nothing of it. So just do make sure you're reading through emails. If they do look fishy, report as phishing. And then of course, like the university cybersecurity team, which is what our job is, to kind of look through it and then block us under if it is malware or phishing.
Mm-hmm.
Another one, like you suggested, using a password manager is one of the really good cybersecurity professional tips. Just like having the different passwords be generated and also like be stored. So that way nobody's able to get to it and no one's able to like guess your password, because there's no similarities between different websites that you use. And then one that I've actually been seeing like circle around LinkedIn, which is like really specific, but just like really irks me when people do it, is when people would post on LinkedIn. It's not really like recruiters, but they're mainly just like random people would post, and it'll be like, email me or like put your link in the comment section if you want me to like give you the job opportunity link. And I just think it's crazy people are like actually putting their emails in the comment section, because it's just like you're giving your email to everybody on the internet.
Actually, yeah. Can we talk about that? Because I just been seeing that, and I'm like, it just gives like scam vibes. I don't know.
Yeah.
Sorry to those out there.
Like it seems really fishy.
It's weird, right? And then I remember I saw this thing where like somebody called it out, and they're like, guys, like, why? They had a post, and they're like, yeah, like, why are people just putting their emails out there? Like anybody can just go in your email and then like use very common, because let's be honest, a lot of people's passwords and things are just very publicly accessible information. It doesn't take much, especially if somebody makes like a little automation to just like run through a bunch of passwords for a person. You know what I mean? But then people were like almost like running her off, being like, oh no, like these are people who are trying to provide opportunities. If you want to provide opportunities, how about this?
Yeah.
How about you make a cute little landing page, you ask people, and like on most of these like little site builders, like let's say like MailChimp or something, or MailerLite, you can literally just be like, or even something like Substack. All you got to be like is, hey, if you want access to this, put your email in this thing, join my mailing list. And obviously, yes, we know it's a lot more work, so people aren't really going to do it. And they're going to be like, oh, I got to go on this link. And LinkedIn doesn't really prioritize links that I'll go out to. Yeah, but it's still weird. Like, I don't know. I don't want it that bad. Like, I would rather just DM the person. Like, they say DM, comment. You don't have to comment. Yeah. You could actually just DM them. And then they put the email in their email list. But I digress. But that one is like a weird new one that I be seeing. And I'm just like, this is it just feels weird. Like, when I see it, I'm just like, this doesn't feel right. Something about this feels
I agree.
weird.
And a ton of people are just throwing their emails in there.
And it's like, guys, you're just making it so easy, guys. I don't know. It's just kind of like, it reminds me of like when like these AI like image editor things would come out, and a lot of people were just, I forgot like this really popular one that everybody was using, and people would just like take pictures and do whatever and put like a bunch of pictures in there, and it seemed fun, but like the nerd in me was just like, I don't know how much I can enjoy this. My friends would be like, oh, girl, it's okay. It's just a picture. But like, I kind of knew that. And I was like, I don't want to be party pooper, but like, they're just going to use our pictures for like their image models. And they basically, and the fine print says they have the rights to do whatever they want with your picture once you put it in there.
Yeah.
You know, and you don't read the fine print and they say you do whatever you want with your picture. I don't know. To me, I'm just like, the cute little dog AI version of me is just not cute enough for me to sign off the rights to my picture. So thank you so much. I really did learn a lot from you. I really enjoyed this conversation. Before we sign off, where can people find you, first of all?
So LinkedIn mainly. I also just started a Substack. So that's also another one. And then also Medium. So I post blogs on Medium.
Awesome. Okay, cool. Well, Assalamu alaikum, Ayah. Thank you so much for your time, for just your story, everything. And I pray that lots of barakah gets put in all your endeavors and you just have lots and lots of success in everything that you do. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
All right, so that is a wrap on today's episode of Muslimas in Motion. I hope you got something valuable out of this conversation. And if you did, don't keep it to yourself. Hit that subscribe button on your favorite podcast app, leave a quick rating and review, and share this episode with a friend who needs to hear it. It seriously helps more Muslims like you and me find the show. And if you want to keep the conversation going, come hang out with us on Instagram at Muslimas in Motion Pod for more gems, behind the scenes, and community discussions. We're also on TikTok, YouTube, and Threads. So follow along wherever you like to scroll. If you've got some thoughts on today's topic, maybe a career question, or maybe you just want to send some love, drop us a message or some fan mail. We might share your note in a future episode, wink wink, link in the description. And before you go, please take a moment to make dua and pray for our brothers and sisters in Gaza, the Congo, and Sudan. If you're able, please consider donating. Those links are also in the description. Every little bit helps y'all. And we'll be back the week after next with another great episode. Until then, take care, stay in motion, and salam.